how to get to a place of less worry, more peace in 7 days. And wow, yes, a short space of time in which you really can get to that place. And I'm going to give you some of my secrets as to how you can go about it. When your child is changing class, schools are going off to university. Are you a parent whose child is going through an upward transition in school? Are you worried about how your child is going to cope? Or is it that you are dealing with your own emotions about where you are within yourself as a result of your child growing up, getting older, time passing so quickly, just like that? Because of course, as parents, this is what we experience in no time at all. You know, where we had that little baby to start, and they go through one stage and another, and before you know it, they have grown up. And I have grown up children of my own. My son is 27, my daughter is 31, and I think to myself, where on earth did that time go to? And as a parent, am I concerned about my grown-up children? Of course, at times, because once a parent, always a parent, and you just can't help yourself sometimes. Anyway, let me move on and just go through this again, because there was a technical issue earlier on and I'm starting afresh. So what am I going to take you through today? Well, I mentioned 3 key things, and the one thing to help you and your children to keep calm during stressful transitions. The second secret is about achieving the results you want for yourself and your children. And I say and your children because you are the influencer, of course. And the third thing is about how we create that more nurturing environment for them. And we have to be the examples ourselves. Now, before I go through the rest of the slides, what I'd like to do is take you through a story that I came across through the great Dr. Wayne Dyer. If you haven't heard of him, he's no longer with us on this earth, but he continues to, or his work and his words continue to inspire millions upon millions of people across the world. And I just love his work, and I've listened to so many of his lectures and books that he's written. And during or just before he started a conference some years ago, he spoke to a 12-year-old child. And so I'm using this example as I feel that it's really appropriate, apt for what I'm taking you through today. So here goes. What have I got in my hand? You can see it. It's not a ball. It's an orange. So my question to you, as Dr. Wayne Dyer asked the 12-year-old, is, if I were to squeeze this orange, what would come out? Now, the answer might be very obvious to you, but do you think apple juice would come out if I were to squeeze this orange? What about grapefruit juice? You might think I've gone completely bonkers. What would come out of it? What would you say? You would say orange juice comes out of an orange. Of course. But why? Why is that? Why would we say that? And as the 12-year-old responded to Wayne Dyer, orange juice comes out of an orange because that's what is inside it. But let's assume that this orange isn't an orange, that actually it's you. And somebody squeezes you, puts pressure on you, says something that you don't like. perhaps offends you. And out comes anger, hatred, frustration, fear, bitterness. Why? Because it's inside you. And therein lies the key. One of life's great lessons. What comes out when life squeezes you? When somebody hurts you, is mean to you, offends you. If it's your child who's saying nasty things, because children have a habit of doing that as well. They learn from all sorts of influences around them. When you're squeezed, perhaps you feel pain, fear, anger yourself, because that is what is inside. Doesn't matter who's doing the squeezing. I already mentioned children. Could be a parent. Could be a friend, somebody within the community, your boss, the government, whoever. I'm just referring to these notes just to make sure that I get every point that Dr. Wayne Dyer actually made. So if someone says something about you that you don't like, what comes out of you is what is inside. And herein lies the key, what is inside you is your choice. And sometimes that's a hard thing to accept, challenging. When someone puts pressure on you and out of you comes everything except love, it's because you've allowed it to get inside you. Once you take away all those negative things that you don't want in your life and you replace them with love and appreciation, you'll find that you live a high functioning life. So those are the words which I reiterated from Dr. Wayne Dyer. But I think it's a great way to start this webinar, because after all, we want to get away from worry and create more peace and love and joy within us. So that said, I'm going to move on now and see how quickly I can get through. Okay, and hopefully this recording will keep going and I won't be cut off as I was before. So here we go. All right. So having now explained what can be inside you, the question is, what will it impact if you don't address the stress and the worry? So our relationships, because with whom we're interacting, it has an impact. And quite often we end up hurting the ones that we love the most and whom we want to give support to and assurance and show them our love. But if they trigger something within us where we burst out in anger, then that's not going to help the situation. What else does it affect? Well, our concentration, our focus, and if we're not in that place of being able to concentrate and focus properly and notice, become aware, then obviously that's going to impact our results as well. And ultimately, our health. Because everything that we think about, that we hold and we bottle up, affects us on a physical plane as well. So let me tell you just a little bit about me. I've already shared that I am a mother as well, and that my children are grown up. Now, the photograph that you see here on this slide is when we were all a bit younger. So I think around that time, I think my son was about 15, something like that, 15 going on 16, and my daughter was just started university. That's right, she was 19 going on 20. So you already know my name, that I'm a mother of two. I started as a complementary health practitioner when my children were very young. Why? Because my son had health complications of asthma and eczema, and we were forever firefighting, and I was looking for other ways, holistic ways, to see if I could help him. And that's how the whole complementary health work started. Just me being mum, looking for ways to help my children. Over time, I studied bioenergetics and Reiki. I also then did NLP to become a health coach and resilience coach. Why? Because I soon learned the connection between the mind and the body and the spirit and the soul. And I ended up working primarily, after I had helped the family, I helped primarily people who were suffering from stress and anxiety. It just worked out that way. Because as a health practitioner, although initially I started with nutrition, people were coming to me with tummy ache, with skin problems, with eczema and things like asthma as well. And everything seemed to be connected to some form of stress or another. And that's why I ended up learning more about how the mind works and how it influences our health. I'm also a child caregiver. I love working with children. It was my first career. When I first started working, I was a nursery nurse, a nursery school teacher. And children have always played a huge part in my life. And I still work with children now because I just love doing that. So that's sort of part of the full picture. And the artist, well, that came in much later on, 6 years ago. I started painting. You'll see some of my paintings in the background here. And it all started as part of a healing process for me, not something that I just took up, went looking for, but it happened initially as a spiritual experience where I connected with color and shape and felt that I had to express what was going on inside me. It was a year where I myself had experienced masses of trauma. I had 4 major events happening inside of 3 months. And thank goodness at the time I was already doing a refresher on my coaching and other things. Otherwise, I'm not sure how well I would have coped myself. But the painting started as a result, and I bring art now into my work as well. So enough information on me. You've now got a little bit of an idea, just to give you an idea of the other people I work with as well. So I've worked with people in the workplace. But again, there has been a common thread throughout the years that I have been working with people, and that is that the vast majority of those I have worked with have been parents. And there's always been this theme in there where the children come into it, and so here I am doing something specifically for parents to help them with their stress and anxieties around their children. So what are we going to do? What are the 3 main things? And this is where I get into the nitty-gritty. To get to that place of less worry and more peace, first thing that we need to do is to understand what that fight and flight mode is in order to be able to create calm. Because we need to learn how to dismantle it. So of course, you must know that, when you are faced with danger, what does the body do? You get this rush of adrenaline in order to be able to cope with an emergency and to deal with that emergency, whether you are in modern times suddenly seeing an oncoming car whilst you're, crossing the road, you have to rush out. Your brain is not really kicking in. Everything drains from there in order for it to go into your body so that you can then just react really, really fast. I'm going to go into this in a little bit more detail. These are the three main points that I want to take you through. So the second one is about being able to increase your ability to notice. And so, yes, it's about awareness and how do we go about that. And I'm going to be taking you through the detail of that in a moment. And the third key thing, which is huge, absolutely huge, being able to see things from a different perspective, because that enables you to develop a different level of understanding. It gives you more connection to everything within you and how that relates to what's outside of you. So let's just go one by one, and you'll get what I'm talking about, hopefully. Okay, so dismantle that fight and flight. So I began already to mention about being in this scenario of, having an emergency. Gone are the days where you're out in the jungle and faced with a lion. You've got to, be able to get out of the lion's way. Think about modern things, where in your modern lifestyle, in this instance, with the children, the child is about to do something that is, you see as a danger, whether that is a teenager. As an example, oh my goodness, my son used to do mountain biking. And let me tell you, that put the fear of God in me at times. And I would have the most horrendous scenarios going through my head of him, coming down the mountain, whatever. But when he was younger, of course, I was there when he was on his bike learning. And if I could anticipate something about to happen, I had to act very, very quickly. Or if he ran into the road, as children do, any kind of emergency situation, what is that fight and flight? It's about survival. So everything, all that adrenaline rush goes through to your body so that you can act really, really fast. How does it affect you? Well, huge heart palpitations, all that energy, all that blood flow goes into your legs, your arms, everything, so you can act accordingly. But when you're in a situation where you are faced with harsh words, remember what I said about, what comes out of the orange and how we react. How does it affect your children? When your children do something and you are reactive instead of responsive, you might blurt out at them, you might slap them, you might do, and perhaps the slapping doesn't happen as often these days as it used to, but perhaps it does and we just don't know about it and it's brushed under the carpet. You may be reactive and then feel really bad about it later on. So, how to cope with that? How do we dismantle that? Think about being reactive. What when you split that word react? What are you left with? You've got the and then you've got act. Well, act. Think of that. Is that really you? When you react to something, or are you behaving in a way that actually is not really true to you? Is not the true you inside, the loving you inside. No, it is the person who is acting out according to whatever is firing you up because of those emotions inside that you haven't dealt with. So, how do we dismantle fight and flight? Well, it helps, first of all, to have some techniques that help you deal with it in the moment. And I've got some fantastic ones. You may have heard me, if you've ever heard me speak before with regard to stress and anxiety, how to stop panic in the moment, you might well have heard me talk about the hit it, flick it, park it method. And I'm just going to give you a really, really quick scenario on that. Hit pause. So when you are in a place where you suddenly feel you're going to explode, okay, to stop yourself from exploding, to stop that anxiety, the panic coming up, imagine a great big pause button on a remote control. You're going to hit that pause button, take a deep breath. Do it a couple of times more so that you can then gain composure. Excuse me, I'm just going to take a sip of water. But for the longer term, one of the techniques that you can undertake, if you don't already do this already, is meditation. So let's just explore this, okay? Oh, yes. How many times have I heard this? But I've tried meditation. I can't clear my mind. How am I supposed to clear my mind? Well, the answer is you can't. The average human being has anywhere between 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And, excuse me, what's I call? Sorry. I got so animated, you see, my throat got dry. With that many thoughts, how on earth are you supposed to clear them? Especially when the vast majority of them are repeating thoughts. So Deepak Chopra tells us meditation is not a way of making your mind quiet. It is, however, a way of entering into the quiet that is already there, buried under those 50,000 thoughts that the average person thinks every day. So it's very much like sitting in the quiet, or perhaps having some music in the background quietly, knowing that the quiet is there and treating those thoughts as if they're clouds in the sky. They come and go, come and go, as clouds do. Some may stay a while, but we know that they go again. Meditation can truly make you feel lighter, less burdened. I love what Manisha said when she took one of my meditation courses, and not the one that I'm about to talk to you about. And yes, I will be talking to you about my 7-day course. This particular one, she referred to meditation in her own unique way. And as she says, it's an amazing ride. I feel lighter practicing the gratitude prayer. It fills my heart with so much love. You've been reminding us really the very many little but most important things that we fail to be grateful for. So grateful you've chosen to create this program. It was really such a pleasure to hear her delightful responses that would come regularly. Okay, so meditation was number one. How, though, do we increase our ability to notice? What does that really mean? Well, when you're in information overload, which the average human being in the Western world is, I mean, after all, we all have our smartphones. Everybody's got most people have a smartphone. We have got stuff all around us. We are a society of, consuming buying something, things, not made to last like they used to be. So instant gratification and everything, social media. It used to be 100 years ago that the average person, where do they get information from? Oh, there was the radio to listen to and newspapers and books, and that was it. We didn't have all of these things around us all of the time. So what can we do to increase our ability to notice that will then help us to achieve better results for us with our relationships, with our family, with our children, but also as an example for them to learn, to teach them to become more aware. So you know that you can't clear the mind, okay, but you know that you can acknowledge what's there, and you know that you can access something and quieten it in a way where you are becoming more aware of things. You know that you can distract yourself. And distraction is something that we do a lot of, but it's how you go about it that is key. So, what is this about? Let me just move my picture here. There we go. Increase your ability to notice through gratitude. And I'm just going to read this quote from Melody Beattie to you. And I'd like you to just listen and focus in on the words as I emphasize and give you a certain tonality to it. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. I can't stress enough how life-changing the regular practice of gratitude in meditative ways, together with meditation, can make. It can be truly life transforming and help you to achieve the results you want for yourself and your children. This is a photograph that I took on one of my walks. One of the topics these days, when you look up into the sky, is the chemtrails that you see from the aeroplanes. And often these transform into the most amazing shapes. And I choose, when I look up at these, I choose to see angelic intervention. And in this particular photograph, on that day, I can't tell you how many feathers and wings I saw. So I say thank you, angels, for watching over me. That is my choice as to how I see this up in the sky and how I see other things around me. Point number 3, change perspective to improve understanding and connection. So let's just pop that over there. This is what's needed to create a more nurturing environment. And why do we need to change perspective? Because we can only see things from our own internal filters. You think about growing up and all the influences that you've had in life, all the people who have taught you things, said things to you, given you their opinion, etc. And you've had all this information, and of course you can't absorb it and process all of it all in one go. Oh my gosh, how many million bits of information are there to process? So what happens is our system creates filters to be able to process the multitude of bits of information that we get. But over the course of life, that outside influence often gets blamed. Well, after all, it's how we've learned. But instead of just blaming our circumstances, blaming other people, how can we see things differently? If we change our perception, we change the biology of ourselves, truly. And here's another quote from Dr. Wayne Dyer for you. If we change the way we look at things, we change. When we change the things we look at, and I've completely lost it. Okay, let me try this again. Sorry, let's try this again. I'm a complete Frank. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. There we go. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. What do you see? When you look at this picture, what image came to you first? You might be familiar with it, or you might never have seen it before. I wonder what your children would see. The question is, rabbit or duck? What do you see? And did you see either of those things? Because you will have seen something different to what I saw. Change perspective to improve understanding and connection. What do we see before us? Somebody reading a book in a beautiful setting. Use your imagination. Your imagination is the most powerful mental faculty that you own. So I hope this all makes sense, that it's all made sense to you so far. Thumbs up if it has. And hopefully you feel that you got some value out of this as well. Now, I did say to you that I would be introducing my course because, after all, in order to do this, you could just go away and do your own thing and think, okay, well, how do I do? I could do a bit of gratitude, I could do a bit of meditation, and I could look up how to change perspective, or I can just, maybe put myself into a situation where, or if I see something in one way, I might just think, oh, well, how would that person, if I put myself into that person's shoes, how would they look at things? How would I feel then? Yes, absolutely. But what about if you had a really, really effective and simple to follow 7-day program? Is it okay if I tell you what I've put together to solve your problem. So how to use the tools that will get you to that place of less worry and more peace in 7 days. I should go through it really quickly because there isn't much to it anyway. So 7 days to unlock what I call a gentle awakening of your inner being and all that is possible for you. In a simple, easy to access and implement format. You decide, you dictate how much time you give it. I have my recommendations, but ultimately it's up to you and how quickly you want to see and feel the results. So this particular course comes in a PDF format. So literally I can just send it to you via email. You can download it. Once you open it up, there'll be slides and links in there. And the links will take you to videos. So there is an intro video for each day. There is a meditation for each day. And there's a strategy plan, a focus for each day. So it is a combination of mindfulness, meditation, and gratitude put together in a very specific way for you to follow without difficulty. What's your time investment for this? How much time is it going to take you? Well, my suggestion is start it first thing in the morning because that will give you the great start. It will give you the impetus for the day and keep you focused, okay? You could start the night before. You'll have some really fabulous thoughts to go to sleep with, and then you can apply the theme for the following day. Or split it. Do a little bit in the morning and a little bit in the evening. 30 minutes a day is my recommendation. So you could literally do 15-minute meditation in the morning, knowing what the theme is for the day, and finish off in the evening. It does require consistency though, because after all, you want to see something that is, changing for you. You want to see results within 1 week. So can you expect them to come just like that? Without application? No, nothing works like that. How much of a difference would you notice in yourself going to the gym, doing half an hour of exercise a day? You would notice something. So let's see how much of a difference you can expect for yourself by applying this. So what have others said? Nada said this is such a beautiful meditation, beautiful. So she was referring to one of the meditations that is specific to this course. Alicia said it's light-hearted and beautiful as well. Okay, so they are referring to the meditation. I have 2 meditations, one which I suggest you repeat daily, and there's another one on a specific day, 1 or 2. Okay. And there's a whole list of gratitude statements that Felicia shared when she did her 7 days, which I thought was really, really lovely. And this one was held through Facebook at the time. That was before I actually developed it into a downloadable PDF course for you. So, of course, what would a webinar be talking about a course without a special offer at the end of it? So here you have, you're in a place of anxiety, worry, maybe trepidation with your child changing class, moving up in school, whether that is class, school, or going off to uni. This 7-day course, which has a lot of value already at the full price of £87, I am slashing down to £47. But it is only available for 48 hours at this price. So My suggestion to you is, why not? Why not do it? If this can enrich your life for something, you know, a 7-day program that you can then implement, you can repeat it as often as you like, and you can apply the principles to move on afterwards for less than £50. That's incredible. So I say now is the time for less worry and more peace in 7 days. And I'd like to thank you for joining me today. It looks like this has kept going, and I'm really, really grateful. And I will send these slides to you so that you can click on the link to purchase. As I say, you've got 48 hours. I suggest don't delay it. Go ahead, press that button now, click the link as soon as you receive it, and you will get your PDF version of this very, very quickly thereafter. So all I need to do is have you email me, ask me for these slides. I will return them with the link. You can pay via PayPal, and we're all done. I will be sending you your PDF so that you can get started as soon as you would like to. So that's it from me for today. Again, I'd like to thank you for your participation, your interest. I hope that you feel that you got value today out of all of the things that I took you through in the lead up to this. And I look forward to hearing of how quickly you get to a place of less worry and more peace. Bye for now. Suzanne Wiechert of Energize Me. Thank you for joining me.